I buy a lot of bicycle parts. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that. And I rarely get excited about anything. But I'm excited about this new fork. Hang around and check it out. I don't generally do unboxing videos. I think they're a little goofy. But this fork's getting special treatment. Aha, you know what it is yet? Manitou. Manitou Mezzer Pro with the Dorado air spring. So generally, this is really an enduro fork, and I wouldn't even normally look at enduro forks, but this thing has 37 millimeter stanchions. Right now it's set up at 170 millimeter travel, but it comes with these little spacers that I can reduce the travel to 140, so it'll be the same as what's on the Hawk Hill. But this fork is supposed to be about 2,000 grams, which is just barely over 4 pounds. Feels very light. It's got a special air chamber that I'm not even going to try to explain because I don't fully understand it, but it's like multiple stages of air chambers that you still have low speed bump compliance, but it goes into the mid-range of the stroke very smoothly. And it gives you a lot of support in the mid-range, which is really good. Has high and low speed compression adjustment. And just an all-around cool fork. So we're going to have to reduce the travel. I'm going to show you how we do that. And I'm going to learn as we're doing it myself. I've never worked on one of these before, but we're going to get into that and then we're going to put it on the bike. So this is the bike the fork's going on. This is my Marin Hawk Hill. It's basically a trail bike. It's when I'm doing a lot of pedaling. And you've seen this bike. I did a whole video about it and all. It has a Suntour Aeron fork on it right now. 140 millimeter travel, 35 millimeter stanchions. And it's a good fork. The only downside maybe is it's a little bit heavy. It's about 2,250 grams, pretty close to 5 pounds. But it has really good dampening, has high and low speed compression adjustment. So this fork is actually going on an upcoming project. All right, 2 things I want to look at before we start working on this. We might as well weigh it. We got the scale here. And it is 4.53. My other assessment was off. I guess it converted it wrong. 4.5 pounds. Let's see if it does grams. 2,055 grams. So that's pretty close to what I had heard. 2,055 and 4.5 pounds. So it's still a half pound lighter than the Aeron. And the other thing I wanted to mention was this fork has an MSRP of $1,100. Now, obviously, you watch my channel, you know I didn't pay anywhere near that. I got it for $300, which is a crazy deal, and basically why I was able to buy it. So let's get down to changing the travel, and we'll get it on the bike. All right, so here's the main event. We got to shorten the travel on this fork from 170 to 140. It's been about a couple weeks because I found out you needed a special tool to change the travel, and their special tool was $71. So supposedly it's a modified cassette tool. So I bought one of these. It's just a long cassette tool. And if I have to, I'm going to cut a slot with my grinder, and you'll get to see what I do. And you can make your own if you decide you need to. But let's see what happens. Let's get to that point and see where we're at. So the first thing we need to do is we got to let the air out of this thing so it don't explode. Now, if this is a fork that you had been using, you probably would want to check the pressures, but it's a brand new fork for me. I'm going to let the air out with this, with my shock pump. Now that's the main air chamber on the fork. It has a separate air chamber up top, which actually has a regular Schrader, so I'm just going to take that Schrader right out. I think that's the safest thing. 2mm Allen to take the rebound knob off. You notice Manitou uses blue for rebound. 14mm wrench. Break them loose. All right, now something to remember is there's oil in these legs. So I'm going to try not to lose it because I don't want to have to refill it. I can if I need to, but I don't want to. So what we're going to do is try to lay that gently here and not lose the oil. So what I'm going to have to do is cut a slot equal to that out of this socket. So what we need to do is cut a slot out of this. So I'm going to put this in here with this little piece of wood to keep from hurting that. And it ain't got to be exact, it's just so we can get the thing on the shaft. All right, so we're going to cut a slot in this using a cutoff wheel on a grinder. It's almost a do not do this at home moment, but
let's do it.
If you know how to do it, I guess. So I got it. I got a slot cut in it. Took me a couple shots trimming it. If you do this, blow it out with air. Make sure there's no metal in it. Make sure you cover everything when you're working. You don't want any metal getting nowhere, obviously. So let's see if this will work. So, goes over that, catches on that. And then let's see, let's do it like this so I can. I guess, huh? Okay, that's that. Okay. Now that's our air piston. Now each one of these little spacers is 10mm. So with no spacers, this would be 180mm of travel. So we need to add 6 total, right? These are 2-piece spacers, each 2-piece. And they kind of go together, flat side up, and then they interlock like that on the shaft. So up like that. Wow, this is a tight one. Okay, it says 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 40mm. That gives us 140 travel. Now to give you this slick oleum grease, they want you to put on. It's pretty greased up already, but I'm going to do it anyway because it gave it to me. And there's a little bit of pressure. Now, I watched the factory video on how to do this. And the guy that did it said, oh, it'd be nice to have a torque wrench, but I don't have one. So, I'm going to follow the factory's video lead. But it's not very tight. It did come apart very tight, so there's no reason to be cranking down on it. Gotta remember the Manitou's backwards with the brace. Little nuts on. We're going to do this one first. Now, the one thing he mentioned, make sure you hold this when you're tightening it, because you don't want it to spin. You want to tighten the nut. So it's just a little 8mm on a socket, 8mm socket. And again, I'm sure there's torque specs, but I'm basically putting it back where it was. the little Schrader in. Now this is not the main air fill. This is what they call the IRT. So we're going to put air in the bottom here. The numbers I came up with are 62 and 91. So 62 in the main chamber, which is the lower leg here. And then this one should be 91. All right, I think we're at the point. Well, I got to get the crown race off the other fork, put it on here. All right, let me get the other fork off so we can pull the crown race off, make sure the headset's going to work and all. And then let's do that. Let's get over to the other bike. All right, I told you a little bit about this bike before, but this is probably one of my favorite bikes right now, and it's basically not downhill. It's somewhere where you're going to do a lot of pedaling. I'd almost call it trail bike, cross country, whatever you want to call it. I don't race, so the categories are kind of meaningless to me. It's 140 travel in the front, I think 126 in the back with the shock that's on it. It's a mullet, it's 26 in the rear, 27.5 in the front. And right now I have this Suntour Aeron fork, which is a pretty good fork. But I'm going to put it on another project I'm going to be working on soon. And I really wanted to try this Manitou, and I just got such a good deal on it, I had to try it. Whew. Got all gummy here, I got to clean that off. So here's the two forks sitting next to each other. You can see this one's 35, this one's 37 stanchions. And although this is bigger stanchions, it's a ½ pound lighter than the Suntour fork. But like I said, we're going to use this Suntour fork on something else because I do really like it. And we're going to put the crown race on there. I like these split ring ones. Whole lot easier to deal with. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I cut all my steering tubes to 7 3/4 inch. This way I know they fit on anything. It's not likely I'll ever sell a fork, but if I did, I could, sell it to anybody. But they'll fit on any frame I get. There we go. Grease on this thing and throw the wheel on there. Should I put the fender on, you think? We just gotta make sure the handlebars are straight and torque those screws. Wow, that even feels smooth. Just pushing it like that, man. That is smooth. It's saying 5 Newton meter. Don't want to get this uneven. That's 5. All right, so the next step is to try the bike out. Tomorrow we're going riding. It'll be a few seconds for you, but I'll catch you out on the trail. All right, so here we are at Mercer Park. These are not the most challenging trails, but it's typically where I use this bike, and I'll know if there's a difference in the way the fork works. So I got everything set about 20% sag. Normally I'm a little closer to 30, but I figure a little bit extra air is better at this point than not enough. It is a pretty good looking fork though, isn't it? All right, let me get my gear on and let's hit the trails. Well, I'm definitely taking different lines just to see. Wow, really good on roots. definitely feels different, but I don't know how to put it in words. It's like bass instead of treble. It's like hitting stuff, and it's like a thud instead of a sharp, sharp jolt. Here we go. Here's some interesting stuff. All right. I'm thinking basically just a little bit too much air in the fork. Man, this thing is very planted though. I am noticing when I hit big roots and stuff, it's not throwing me off my line. I know. Uh-oh. Hannah's turn. Fork is just a little bit too much air in it, but man, it's working smooth. This fork is several levels above my ability. All right, so I don't know what to say about this fork. I'm really not qualified to even comment on it. The thing is several levels above my riding ability. It did absolutely nothing wrong. Very linear progression in the way the travel is the only way I could describe it. It sucks up small bumps, large bumps, everything in a very linear way. So low speed compression adjustment, high speed compression adjustment, rebound adjustment, 2 different air chambers, basically infinite amount of adjustment. So I got nothing bad to say about the fork. Worked awesome. Hope you enjoyed this little video, and I'll catch you next time on the shed. Gotta look fast.